Tonight, Mourning, a Canadian musical force behind one of rock's most legendary bands.
It was also completely new, completely fresh.
From international stardom back to his Indigenous roots, Robbie Robertson's life and legacy.
Everyone I know in Lahaina, their homes have been burned down.
Panic and devastation as deadly wildfires tear through Hawaii. And Swifties finally get their chance.
You click a ticket, you go to purchase, and then boom, someone already got those tickets.
The winners and losers of an online ticket scramble.
This is The National with Chief Correspondent Adrian Arsenault.
Millions are mourning a Canadian music giant tonight, a gifted songwriter, guitar player, and leader of not just a band, but the band. The great Robbie Robertson has died. A towering musical figure who celebrated his Indigenous roots, Robertson knew and worked with just about everyone over his decades-long career. Here's Eli Glasner on his incredible legacy.
Whether it was rocking out in the band or weaving story and song together, Robbie Robertson was a rock and roll journeyman, writing songs and playing with some of the biggest stars of the 20th century. Born in Toronto, his dad was Jewish, his mother Mohawk and Cayuga. He caught the music bug listening to American songs on the Six Nations Reserve in Ontario.
Robbie Robertson was 16 years old when he left school, dropped out of high school, and took a bus down to Arkansas to join Ronnie Hawkins.
Soon Robertson was playing in the Hawks, backing up Ronnie Hawkins. And when Bob Dylan decided to go electric, Robertson and the Hawks got the call.
The king of the folk movement wants a rock and roll band. The rest of the world hates this, and they boo us every night.
Take a load off Fanny.
What followed next was simply called The Band. With Levon Helm and the rest, the sound was fresh but familiar.
It had this quality of songs that we'd all heard before that we grew up with, but it was also completely new, completely fresh.
When life on tour took its toll, director Martin Scorsese captured their final show in a concert film.
The road has taken a lot of the great ones. Hank Williams, Buddy Holly, Otis Redding.
Robertson went on to work on over a dozen of Scorsese's films. Today, the director released a statement, saying in part, "It goes without saying that he was a giant, that his effect on the art form was profound." Robertson returned to the airwaves as a singular solo artist, but his time in the band was never far from his mind.
That brotherhood came out in the music, and it allowed us to do something different than anybody in the world.
Robbie Robertson died at home in Los Angeles with his family around him. He was 80. Eli Glasner, CBC News, Toronto.
So here to talk about this Canadian icon, another Canadian icon, music producer, 7-time Grammy Award winner Daniel Lanois, who produced Robbie Robertson's first solo album. Thank you, Daniel, for making time for us on what I suspect is a pretty tough night for you. And I'm wondering what element of Robbie Robertson are you thinking about now?
I appreciate that he had the courage to go south and study the music he loved the most, and he passed some of that on to me. Very creative man. Apparently top of the pile with imagination. When I was working on Robbie Robertson's first album, his solo album, I egged him on to travel to Europe, and we stopped in the U2 studio while we were making the Joshua Tree. And the fellows from U2 very kindly were Robbie's rock and roll band for a couple of numbers. And then we went on to England to visit Peter Gabriel, and Peter gave us a big hand in his studio with a song called Broken Arrow. And then we came back and made a pretty good first solo album for Robbie.
In producing his first solo album, that earworm, Somewhere Down the Crazy River,
Look for me somewhere down the crazy river.
Such a fundamental part of that album. What is it, and you alluded to it a bit, but what is it that made you really want to work with him?
a man with a great imagination. And when I asked him, what was it like in Arkansas, you hanging out with the rockers down there? He said, well, it was all happening somewhere down the crazy river.
You know, some people will be going to YouTube to connect with him for the first time, and I'm wondering what you want those people in particular to understand about Robbie Robertson and his contributions.
I think it's good to understand that long before the internet, Robbie had the curiosity and the need to travel, not only geographically, but he wanted to broaden his mind and be exposed to be in the environment that brought a lot of rock and roll to him.
Okay, Daniel Lanois, thank you.
You're very welcome.
In Hawaii tonight, popular tourist destinations have been transformed into charred landscapes. Wildfires driven by hurricane winds have ripped through the island of Maui, taking the lives of at least 6 people, injuring many more. It's hard to believe these stunning images are all that's left of the town of Lahaina after it was completely engulfed by flames. The fires so intense, some were forced to jump into the ocean to escape them. They were later rescued by the Coast Guard. This all happened quickly, catching the island off guard, and as Mira Bain shows us, many were left with little time to flee.
Paradise on fire as flames fueled by winds from Hurricane Dora ripped through West Maui. The historic town of Lahaina, built in the 1800s, devastated as flames engulfed its popular front street.
Everyone I know in Lahaina, their homes have been burned down.
People jumped into the ocean to get away and had to be rescued by the Coast Guard on Tuesday night.
And I just ran out to the beach and I ran south and I just helped everybody I could along the way.
At least 6 people are confirmed dead, 2,000 people in shelters. Local hospitals overwhelmed, with some burn patients being flown to Honolulu.
We never anticipated in this state that a hurricane, which did not make impact on our islands, will cause this type of wildfires.
Communication has been a big problem. Cell phone towers and landlines are down, halting 911 services. U.S. President Joe Biden is pledging federal help, including Black Hawk helicopters and Navy fleets. Some Canadian tourists rushed to the airport to leave the island, only to be stuck there due to flight cancellations.
We figured it would be a good idea to get to the airport early. The drive normally takes 45 minutes, took us over 3 hours.
Air Canada had to cancel flights from Maui to Vancouver because fires blocked access to the airport. It says we are evaluating other options, including opportunities to operate an evening flight with a larger aircraft to accommodate all affected passengers. WestJet has also canceled flights and is rescheduling passengers. Hundreds of thousands of Canadians visit Hawaii each year. But for now, Maui's message for tourists is to stay away as the state deals with devastation. Mira Baines, CBC News, Vancouver.
Ontario Premier Doug Ford's government is being accused of corruption tonight after an Auditor General's report slammed its plans to open protected Greenbelt lands to housing developers who stand to rake in billions. Here's Ithel Musa on how the Premier and his critics are reacting.
Ontario's Auditor General was blunt.
This is a flawed process. This was a biased process.
Bonnie Lysyc's report on the controversial plan to develop sections of Ontario's Greenbelt near Toronto cites multiple problems, including potential profiteering.
We saw what we think is preferential treatment.
Lysyc says the process of opening up protected lands for housing development was heavily influenced by a small group of well-connected developers who now stand to make billions without considering environmental impacts or properly engaging the public.
Fair, transparent, and respectful consultation did not take place.
We made a promise.
The report also found plans largely controlled by Ontario Housing Minister Steve Clark's chief of staff, instead of nonpartisan public servants. That's prompting calls for an investigation.
I think further investigation of the relationship between the developers and the provincial government is necessary, and I hope the OPP picks up on that.
I'm going to take full responsibility. I'm the Premier. That's where the buck stops.
In response, Ontario Premier Doug Ford acknowledged flaws and says he will implement most of LISIC's recommendations except reversing the Greenbelt development plans, citing the province's serious housing crisis.
The process we will fix, but we're going to continue building homes.
Some critics believe developers who bought land in the Greenbelt before protections were removed were tipped off to the government's plans.
Let's call this what it is: corruption.
Opposition leaders are now calling for the housing minister to resign.
We need real consequences for these actions, not just a shuffling of personnel.
Ontario's Greenbelt was created in 2005 to limit urban sprawl. The Ford government has promised that any lands given over to housing will be replaced with new ones, but advocates want it left alone. Idil Musa, CBC News, Toronto.
There are renewed concerns about foreign interference in Canada's democracy tonight, as Ottawa announces the discovery of a disinformation campaign aimed at a Conservative MP critical of China. Global Affairs Canada says Michael Chong was targeted on Chinese social media platform WeChat back in May, and that a coordinated campaign spread false narratives about his identity, claims about his background, political stances, and family's heritage. But Global Affairs stopped short of accusing Beijing directly, saying China's role in the information operation is highly probable. The former head of CSIS is calling for action.
I think it's incumbent upon the government to act. The only people now who are benefiting, I think, from these delays, which I think they're really too long, are the Chinese security services.
Well, today, Michael Chong, who has been briefed on the matter, renewed his push for a full public inquiry into foreign interference. And a newly uncovered memo has revealed Donald Trump's alleged secret strategy to try to overturn the 2020 presidential election. As Ashley Burke tells us, that memo is now a key piece of evidence for those prosecuting the former president.
But is this going to be the future of elections in America?
Deny, discredit, and delay. Donald Trump's strategy as mounting criminal cases get in the way of his re-election campaign.
I'm sitting in a courtroom on bullshit.
But his claims now up against newly leaked evidence, a written memo that prosecutors plan to use against him.
For his prosecutors to say to the jury, look, you don't need to take my word for what they were trying to do here. You can read it in their own words. This is the scheme that they were planning. This is how they plan to execute the fake electors plot.
That plot in 2020 targeted 7 battleground states, including Georgia, and allegedly involved persuading Republican officials there to help draft or put their name on documents, falsely claiming Trump the winner.
And prosecutors really described this memo as the key moment when the fake electors plot moves out of the theoretical and into what the prosecutors view as a criminal conspiracy.
The New York Times' Luke Broadwater obtained that memo. It's written by Kenneth Chesebro, a Trump lawyer at that time. He wrote, "I recognize that what I suggest is a bold, controversial strategy," and said letting matters play out this way would guarantee that public attention would be riveted on the evidence of electoral abuses by the Democrats and would also buy the Trump campaign more time to win litigation.
So it's a plan to create just a whole bunch of doubt, a whole bunch of confusion with competing slates of electors that could ultimately buy the campaign more time and have one final attempt to keep Donald Trump in office.
Trump pled not guilty. His legal team has argued that everything he's accused of is protected by the First Amendment, but the prosecution disagrees and says that Trump's lies fueled the violent January 6th attack. The case is scheduled to be back in court on Friday. Ashley Burke, CBC News, Washington.
The federal Conservative Party is making a push to reframe the way their leader is viewed by Canadians. A multi-million-dollar ad campaign is trying to capture a more personal side of Pierre Poilievre. Kate McKenna looks at the strategy behind it.
I'm going to ask you again because nobody believes you.
This is the Pierre Poilievre Canadians know in Parliament.
Why did he waste so much and leave Canadians with so little?
But there's another side of Poilievre Conservatives want you to see, and they're putting big money behind their message.
Who is Pierre Poilievre? Many know him as the common sense leader the country needs.
This ad, narrated by Poilievre's wife, Hanna, portrays a family man.
And I know him as a guy who loves me for who I am.
The rollout comes just days after Justin Trudeau announced he and his wife are separating.
These ads are really all about attempting to perhaps rebrand, soften him, show a more personal side. That is not unusual in politics at all. But in this case, it is a bit of an imperative or a must-do for Pierre Poilievre if he hopes to be the leader that forms government in the next election.
It's a $3 million ad campaign in French and English. They'll run on TV and online. 2 ads focus on Poilievre, the third on one of his key policy planks.
Trudeau's carbon tax on the farmer who grows the food and the trucker who ships the food is a tax on all who buy the food. Enough.
The ads come as his party continues to climb in the polls.
We've seen numerous polls coming out showing the Conservatives either within striking distance of or fully within majority territory.
Some Conservative strategists say this gentler version is his true self.
This is an amplification of who Pierre is and always has been.
But Liberals say it's smoke and mirrors.
They can change the package as much as they want, but that doesn't change the content.
The Conservatives do have the money to push this campaign. So far this year, they've raised more than twice as much cash as the Liberals, all in preparation for the next election, when they hope to put Pierre Poilievre in the Prime Minister's office. Kate McKenna, CBC News, Ottawa.
Tickets for Taylor Swift went on sale, but for many fans, the concert remains just a dream. The exclusive access and the race to click purchase.
It was actually quite stressful on the Ticketmaster site.
The first ever mom and daughter duo get ready for space. And the signs that remind us where Nickleback is from are coming down, and residents are not happy.
We'd like to have it back.
We're back in 2. Get ready for blast off. Tomorrow, Virgin Galactic is set to launch its first commercial space flight carrying only civilian astronauts and on board a very special duo. The pair from Antigua won their seats in a draw. They will become the first mother-daughter team to go to space and the first from the Caribbean.
I'm hoping to give myself that confidence to try new things.
I feel like I was born in this life for this.
With them will be a third passenger, a British Olympian who has Parkinson's disease. Launch is set for 11 a.m. Eastern. There was another kind of launch today. Tickets for Taylor Swift's newly announced Toronto shows went on sale, but only for pre-registered fans. Anise Haidari shows us the scramble and who's been left out.
Yeah, it's like from a shirt she wore.
This fan's wildest dreams are coming true.
I almost yelled out in the locker room, did not do that. I held it back a little bit, but I was absolutely so shocked and so excited that I got a code.
That code gave her the chance to buy tickets to Taylor Swift's new Toronto shows.
It was actually quite stressful on the Ticketmaster site because you click a ticket, you go to purchase, and then boom, it's someone already got those tickets.
But she managed to get 4 spots.
I know I want to bring my mom, and I know we want to make a little family trip out of it, and I just have so many friends who want tickets, and we're really trying to get them.
Other fans were never, ever getting back together with a ticket.
So I obviously asked all my friends, all my family, just to sign up for the pre-sales and different dates since there are 6 tour dates. But yeah, all of us got waitlisted.
Fans who hit that wait list could be forced to buy from a reseller, with prices starting in the thousands of dollars.
The prices are just way too expensive, way out of my budget. They go 3 times the amount as what they should be.
One way around that, experts say, if concert tickets, like airline tickets, could only be used by the person whose name is on them.
You can access the venue only if you have a ticket and an ID and the 2 match. So that system would completely prevent resale for profits because there's no way for this third party to slide in.
But that could increase costs because everyone's ID would need to be verified. There are still concerts that haven't sold out yet, but if fans haven't already pre-registered for their chance to buy, they'll face a big blank space in their wallet from high reseller prices. Anis Hidari, CBC News, Calgary.
Now, the resellers aren't the only ones who could make big bucks off of Taylor Swift's Canadian stop. As Ellen Morrow shows us, cash flows fast in cities that host her.
Call it Taylornomics. Everywhere Taylor Swift goes, dollar signs follow, something businesses know all too well.
Just got here this morning. We took a 5 a.m. flight, and then we had the Uber take us straight to the merch line.
We're gonna go to the Space Needle Art Museum.
Swift's 6-night stint in LA gave the local economy an estimated $430 million bump. Chicago had its highest hotel occupancy rate ever when Swift performed.
Basically what I'm trying to say is you're making me feel like I'm the man.
And Las Vegas credits her with bringing visitor numbers to near pre-pandemic levels.
It's like hosting a Super Bowl in your community.
In Toronto, that Super Bowl will last 6 nights.
I mean, the numbers are astounding. It does have the potential to alter the lives of, and owners of businesses and their workers.
Sina Jalilzadeh is ready for it.
Hi, how are you?
Owner of an Italian restaurant steps away from the Rogers Centre.
We're definitely anticipating a lot of tourists from all over Canada to come.
What does that mean for a small family-run business like yours?
Anytime we have 40, 50,000 people coming to an event, it definitely helps with the sales.
And I guess if she brings a boost in business, then maybe you'll become a Swiftie?
Absolutely, yeah. Of course, yeah.
Crafty Swifties are also trying to cash in. Stephanie Wong is selling the friendship bracelets fans exchange at concerts.
I think I'll get a lot more sales once people get their tickets.
Wong has made $1,000 since January and can't wait for the Toronto dates.
I purchased beads ahead of time, so I have a lot. Thank you, Taylor, for helping me increase my Etsy sales.
Many in Toronto will be feeling that same gratitude next year. Ellen Morrow, CBC News, Toronto.
Forget Taylor Swift tickets. Looking for a place to rent can be just as competitive.
It's really hard to grasp the crushing reality of how expensive and limited it is.
Are short-term rentals a big part of the problem?
We cannot let the market go to the Wild West.
We revisit the conversation between renters and Airbnb hosts. The National takes you deeper into the stories shaping our world.
If this keeps happening, I'm gonna move out of the city for sure, but potentially even move out of the country.
I wouldn't be looking to sort of exploit something that I view as a basic human right.
You're paying more for your bread and food, your gas. Why are you not paying more for your rent and you expect me to fork up that money, right?
I want to pay down my mortgage. I want to, be able to get ahead.
We cannot let the market go to the Wild West.
So, fact, Canadians are struggling to find housing. That's not news to you. It's a matter of affordability and stock. But we do keep wondering, what else is there to the story? To what degree, for example, do short-term rentals contribute to this crisis? Well, the answer may depend what side of the table you're sitting on. In studio, we have a table with Airbnb hosts and renters. We also have Armin Yalnizyan, the economist, backstage listening in. So we're going to have a conversation and try to sort this out. Come with us. Hey, everybody. How you doing?
How's it going?
Good. Okay. Christian, Samantha, Shuby, Brendan, thanks for being with us. Can we just start off with a bit of a gut check here? Hand up if you think the answer is yes to the question, short-term rentals are contributing to the housing crisis. Okay. Well, maybe I shouldn't entirely be surprised in that both of you are tenants right now. So, Christian, your body language suggests there's no way you think it's part of the problem.
I have to say absolutely not. I think I'm a landlord and a short-term operator, so I see both sides of the story. I don't think we should be responsible for the housing crisis 5-6 years ago, when I got into the industry of short-term, somebody said, let's put an Airbnb, make more money. So I got in and I'm like, oh wow, I was collecting $2,000 in rent. Now I'm making $5,000-$6,000 a month. I'm like, not only am I able to cover all expenses, but have a better quality of life.
And what about the places that you rent out as long-term rentals? Are they going to stay long-term rentals?
For the time being, yes. But slowly I will be converting everything to short-term rentals.
Okay, so how does that land with the tenants in the house here?
It's really hard to grasp the crushing reality of how expensive and limited it is. Like 5 months, I saw every month average rent for places I was looking at go up and up and up and up.
Because you had a bit of a rough go, eh?
Yeah. Everything in our neighborhood was going to triple our rent, but we had to move out. We were asked to, and we found a place. It was 5 units in a building, in a small building, each 4-bedroom. We actually offered 6 months in advance, $24,000, and despite offering that, we got rejected. We found out the competing bid was a person who offered to lease all 5-6 units. And they're turning it into Airbnb rentals. If this keeps happening, I'm gonna move out of the city for sure, but potentially even move out of the country.
Wow. We're in a situation with housing shortage in pretty much every city across Canada. I don't think you can really afford, least of all the tenants, can afford for any of that housing to be given up to a kind of superfluous cause. I mean, I totally understand it helps you live a better quality of life, but if that comes at the expense of other people being able to afford to live even sort of a basic standard of living, then I think that is problematic.
But why is that Christian's responsibility, right? Like you say superfluous, you might say, hey, that's my income. Why does he have to take that on?
I mean, so I think at some point it comes down to sort of like personal morals and ethics. I wouldn't be looking to sort of exploit something that I view as a basic human right. Everyone should have a right to housing. For a long time, landlords have done long-term rentals, and it's made them plenty of money.
So I'd like to jump in here, actually. 8 months, I'm going without a tenant paying me rent. 8 months of me paying out of my pocket and my quality of life, where I cannot take my family on vacation, have to stress, work overtime. This is, I think, a big reason why people are switching to short-term rentals, because if you're in my Airbnb and you're past your checkout, your reservation is no longer there. At this point, the police comes, you're trespassing, you're out the same minute.
I feel like you might have empathy at both sides of the table here.
I do. So in Calgary, we have a townhouse that we rent. We have a wonderful renter there, and it gives us peace of mind. Prior to us starting our Airbnb, we had rented it to someone that actually damaged our property and had to put in money to get it back to a regular state. So we thought, you know what, this is a great opportunity for us to try Airbnb, and it really is. It does give us that peace of mind that we are protected when there is a situation that we might not be able to collect from our renter.
We did reach out to Airbnb because mostly it is such a huge player. They maintain that 53% of their hosts are a bit like you, and that they use the platform strictly to deal with the rising costs.
That's it. So with the variable mortgage rates that are going up, the prices go up there, our condo fees have gone up, everything has gone up. So for us to really just be able to kind of have that offset, it's quite a nice advantage.
It is really hard when we think of housing as investment commodity we distance it from the reality of it, that it's shelter, it's a basic need for people, and we kind of forget the human aspect of it. I think that's a really big issue.
Well, I have to disagree, because I try to be as fair and honest with my tenants and everything. If there is any changes, I would give them a good amount of notice, or whatever the problem is, I would talk to them. I wouldn't be just one of those, get out, let's do it. But I'm not sure, you are not more profitable and in a better position because you own a property as a rental property. Even 10 years ago, before interest rate hikes, before prices went bananas.
Then why do it?
Because the long-term growth you're hoping for the long-term growth of the unit. And
so it is a financially beneficial thing.
Correct, but for you to say that just because you have equity in the house that you cannot refinance or take out, I can have $1 million in my house right now. I cannot take it out because I cannot qualify thanks to the interest rates or whatever. Now, short-term rental has come into the play where people start reaping the benefits of real estate immediately. our government. And again, I don't want to be that guy saying the government, but it's not my responsibility to fix a government job. I pay enough taxes that they should be doing their job. Why don't they decrease the time that a builder needs to wait for permits to build a 50-foot story? Because if that's the case, Toronto was one of the longest wait times around the world, I believe, for them to get permits to build. That's not my problem. Unfortunately, I'm not here for charity.
Well, I mean, we have to figure this out. I mean, in this city, like 50%-ish of the population rents. And so with such a low vacancy rate, it's the lowest in this country it's been in some 20 years. I think it's like roughly 1% in Halifax.
That's true, yeah. You know, I've been there for around 3 years in the same building. And I know in the time that I've been there, the market price for my unit has effectively doubled. When the most recent landlord took over, he sort of approached me at the beginning and made it clear that his intention was to turn my unit into an Airbnb. And I'm in a 3-unit building. All of the other units are Airbnbs. So absolutely, you feel it's kind of put me in this position where I feel like I have to be an extra good tenant. To hedge my bets, I should, you know, take that little extra step. I take care of the garbage for the Airbnbs that are in the, you know, I take the bins out and whatever.
I actually think I would never let you go if I had a triplex and you're one of my tenants there that does all that. I would never let you go. I would never jack up your rent and all that stuff because I think you're like such a massive asset to that building. But on the other hand is if you're owning single family homes or condos, when my payment's going from $2,500 to $3,600, condo fees are going up every year, and then property taxes are going up. That just, like, we cannot expect tenants to say, hey, I've been here for 20 years, so I'm gonna pay $900 here. Well, the whole world is moving. You're paying more for your bread and food, your gas. Why are you not paying more for your rent and you expect me to fork up that money, right?
I do want to ask though, like these issues that you have had, would you say that they're a majority of your tenants or a minority?
Lucky, I've had minority. However, damages from tenants and me paying out of pocket has been pretty consistent after they leave the property.
It's just, you know, because I feel like I hear this kind of thing a lot from landlords. I'm not saying there are bad tenants in the world. They're in the minority. And so I think it's kind of blown out of proportion that, oh, I need to use Airbnb as a crutch because every tenant is too much risk. You're profiting off of this housing. It's a business, you know, the cost of doing business, frankly.
Yeah, but going personally bankrupt because of the minority of tenants is unacceptable in anyone's eyes.
You went personally bankrupt?
No, I'm saying if I didn't have the means to cover the mortgage, guess what? Mortgage goes default, gets on your bureau, you have to declare bankruptcy. So that minority, that one tenant can ruin your life for good.
But I guess my point is that that hasn't happened to you yet. And it probably won't happen to you. And I don't think that it's because you're using Airbnb. It's because, generally speaking, you're in a profitable business model and you're going to be just fine. I totally get it's not your responsibility to kind of solve all the social woes of Canada with housing. We also should talk about this with some empathy for the people that might get forced out in this way, because in a lot of cases, it's not their fault either, you know?
Okay, so this is where we're almost stuck, and this is where we need some help. So we're gonna take a break, take a breath, and get Armin in, okay?
All right.
You are sucking out stock. You're sucking it out faster than it can be built.
Do you see any model anywhere that offers a solution? Okay, so we've established that we understand the problem here. It's very personal. We need some solutions. We need a reality check. Perfect timing. Armin Yalnizyan, help us out here. I know you were listening and watching. What struck you?
How amazingly engaging this conversation is. You all are bringing such an important aspect of something that is a problem for Canadians from coast to coast to coast.
So when you say problem, can you give us a sense of where Canada sits compared to the rest of the world? Like how big of a problem is housing affordability now?
Well, there are two features that are really quite unique for Canada. Number one is that the Canadian population has grown faster than any other big nation in the last year. It's been just a bonanza of more people coming into the country. And that's great news for a lot of reasons, but really challenging when you don't build housing at the pace that we've been permitting and welcoming people to come to the country. And the second part is that of the 37 richest countries in the world, Canada is ranked bottom of the list in terms of social housing. We have disinvested through governments. I mean, to Christian's point about what is government's role in all of this, in every other country, governments are responsible for building a bigger stock of affordable housing. We cannot expect the market to do all of the heavy lifting on affordability. On the other hand, we cannot let the market go to the Wild West in terms of driving up prices because it's good for you guys. So I'm really torn in these stories, that's for sure.
Well, in terms of short-term rentals though, I mean, anecdotally, it can feel, if you're a tenant, it can feel like they are adding to the housing crisis.
Do you know, from the time I was first asked to be part of this, and I started looking at the data, we added 2,000 long-term listings in Toronto. That is less than a month. 2,000 new listings have been added to Airbnb. I mean, we're just sucking out. We cannot build fast enough. Your point was we're taking too long to build. You guys are sucking out. You are sucking out stock. You're sucking it out faster than it can be built. We have a problem. In a city like Toronto, where rent went up by 20% for a bachelor unit, rent went up by 16% for 1-bedroom and 3-bedroom units compared to a year ago, those rents would not be escalating as quickly. Just on Airbnb alone, there are 15,000 long-term rentals available today. So if you were somehow, by some magic wand, able to convert some of those into legit long-term rentals, right? A year, 2 years, like people do when they need a place to live, that would add so much stock that it would reduce the pressure on how much rents are rising. So you might be making more money, you might be making more money, which is totally legit, totally understandable, has this ripple effect through real estate markets throughout the country, especially in major markets, but also in secondary markets. So you can see where the tension is coming in, eh?
Yeah, absolutely.
Samantha, did you tell us that in the unit you lived in, you have an Airbnb, but you also have another place?
I have a long-term rental property, which is our townhouse, and then we have our basement suite in our home.
Right, and the long-term tenant, did I get it right that once that person leaves who you like, you see the advantages of moving to Airbnb?
So when we first started, it really was to offset our expenses.
Sure.
And you do see the benefits of it. And I'm not saying that I would evict anyone or so on, but I am looking at I want to pay down my mortgage. I want to, be able to get ahead in a way. And so yes, it would be attractive to do so.
Yeah, I think if it's within your primary residence, I think it's maybe a different story. But I think when it's a secondary property, as a tenant, of course I'm biased, but it's better if it ends up on the long-term market.
When Airbnb was launched in 2007, it was precisely to help people offset their costs and manage who they had in the house and have a little bit more control. It has gone out of control.
Everybody that's been in variable or fixed rates that took it during the pandemic, they better expect a 40 to 50% increase of their payment. We keep forgetting about that. That's the reason why rents keep going up.
100%. And I'm not arguing with you that if the money is there to be made, it's like candy for a baby. Why wouldn't you take it? That's why we need regulations. Brendan is also right. You're a businessman. That's how you're describing what you're doing. You make your money through real estate. That has risks.
Again, I agree with you. Why, instead of them raising 3.5%, 4% in a year's time, why are they not raising 0.25% at a time for people can adjust their living expenses and everything?
What are you going to do about their wages?
Again,
their wages. Like if you do it 0.25% at a time, but their wages don't go up, what are you going to do about it? Look, it isn't somebody else's problem, is my point. It is our problem.
If we can talk about regulation just for a moment, I think if you're reading the news and you may have heard people talk about Quebec, right? Quebec is trying new regulations with Airbnb. But what are those regulations and are they going to work?
So Quebec's new introduction is to make people like Christian more accountable for how he's running his business. He needs to register And he needs to prove that the people that they're getting are legitimately staying there long term. I have to say, this isn't about good operators and bad operators. There's not enough places for Canadians to live.
I think part of the solution has to be that if we have housing that's planned, zoned, designed, built for housing, that shouldn't be turned into hotel stock.
Do you see any model anywhere that offers a solution?
The only model that exists anywhere, it is in New York City, it is in places like Quebec that is really cracking down, and we could actually bring it further along in a place like Toronto, is to really be much more ruthless about your business model to prevent, like you are right, it's not being regulated and enforced enough. Why are there any multiple listings now? But that is the way we have to go. Sometimes the most absolutely blindingly simple business decision that makes perfect sense for an individual business turns out to be suicide for an economy. It's good for you, it's good for you, it's terrible for them, and they are the future, not you. It's pretty eye-popping.
Christian, Samantha, Shubi, Brendan, Armin, as always, thank you. Now, since our conversation in June, Airbnb listings in Toronto have increased by over 10,000 units, while long-term rental availability decreased by almost 30%. The average rent for a one-bedroom apartment in the city of Toronto right now, $2,500. Next, Robbie Robertson has been called one of the most influential songwriters of a generation.
I just didn't want to be obvious and trendy. That's all.
The legendary musician in his own words. Next. An Alberta town has removed some iconic signs celebrating the band Nickleback. Those signs used to welcome visitors along the highway. Why are they gone? Elise Von Schiele explains safety concerns are apparently part of the reason.
Not many people are stopping for photos of this sign anymore, but just a few months ago, it was a traffic hazard.
We've had a few close calls with people pulling over to the side of the road and people getting out to take pictures, and there's no roadside pullouts.
Hanna, a town of about 2,600 people northeast of Calgary, is the birthplace of one of Canada's biggest rock groups, the band Nickleback. Hey, I wanna be a rock star. Its members grew up here. The town's welcome signs once highlighted that with pride, but when some money came to freshen them up in May, Nickleback was dropped, and the decision isn't going over well with some residents.
I think they've been up for so long, I just thought it was part of the community, and I don't think it hurts to advertise it.
I'm kind of disappointed. I mean, we're all fans of Nickelback. We grew up knowing them. My dad taught him guitar when he was little, so we'd like to have it back.
Town officials say the risk of car accidents was one thing, the age of the sign another factor. And with a list of hometown heroes that also includes former NHLers Lanny McDonald and Jim Nill, they say it wasn't right to pick just one. Instead, the signs will get new homes. 2 will go to the local museum and tourist center, and the other will go to Lanny McDonald's restaurant in Montana with Lanny's name added. A new sign in Nickleback's honor will be installed in a few months in the town the band stays close to, even all these years later.
27 years, blood, sweat, and tears, started off 300 kilometers southeast of here in a little town called Hanna.
The signs are causing a lot of debate in town, but outside of it as well. Hanna's mayor says lead singer Chad Kroger's record label has reached out for a conversation, and there's little mystery what it's about. Elise Von Schiele, CBC News, Hanna, Alberta.
Well, the tributes are just pouring in for Robbie Robertson. Many people calling him one of the greatest songwriters of all time, an icon, a poet, a legend. He was also a very talented storyteller who took the time to speak with the CBC many times over the years. So tonight, we will close with Robbie Robertson telling his own story in his own words.
Growing up between Toronto and the Six Nation Indian Reserve, it was the genesis of music for me and storytelling. I pulled into Nazareth. And it was the first time in my life that I heard music. It knocked my socks off, and when it was over, I said to my mom, when I grow up, I hope I can tell stories like that. And you know, like moms do, she said, oh, I'm sure you will, you know. So I saw Ronnie Hawkins and the Hawks, and they were amazing, and they were the real thing. And he ended up hiring me, and
the rest is history.
Yeah,
it really is musical history.
It was downhill from there. My contribution to whatever it is I've been able to do and everything, I just didn't want to be obvious and trendy. That's all. It's just part of who I am. And don't you dare let anybody tell you that you have limitations. You know, use your imagination and dream on.
Take a load off Fanny. Take a load for free.
You do something hopefully really special, you send it out to the world, and you say, that's what I've got to give.
So our director, Steve, reminds us that Robbie Robertson and Martin Scorsese collaborated some 14 times. There is one more release for you to listen to, a film called Killers of the Flower Moon that will be coming out soon. It's his last work. That's the National for August the 9th. Thank you for being with us. Have a good night.